Timampo. And on this occasion, representing Asantehene Otumfuo Osei Tutu. Nananom, Ashanti Regional Minister and other ministers of state here in present, my colleague, honorable members of Parliament, the Supervisory High Court Judge and other judges here in present, the Vice Chancellor of my alma mater, the great KNU UST and their management team, members of the civil society organization present, DCs and other CEOs, the CEOs of para-statal institutions, our revered presiding members, students of KNUST and other senior high school here in presence, our friends from the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a simple step. The year 2023 marked the 30th anniversary of the Fourth Republic of Ghana. 3 decades of continuous multi-party constitutional democratic rule in our beloved country. Indeed, this is no mean an achievement, even particularly our checkered political past, which witnessed the overthrow of constitutional democracy by the military at various intervals. Against this background, Parliament, as the embodiment of democracy, considered it appropriate and justified to celebrate this milestone, 30 years of stable and thriving parliamentary democracy. This forum, therefore, forms part of a year-long programs and activities that Parliament has been engaging in nationwide to celebrate this feat in our recent political history and reflect on the way forward. It is a joyful moment for Ghana, and we must all thank God for his leadership, decision and blessings that have given the fortitude to come this far. We are grateful to all citizens, especially our traditional, religious and civil society leaders who have stood behind Parliament in this journey to get Ghana this far. Your cooperation, tolerance, commendation, and critique have undoubtedly contributed significantly to shaping our parliamentary democracy. I extend deep appreciation on behalf of leadership, members of Parliament, and staff of parliamentary service for warm reception that His Majesty Otumfuo Osei Tutu and the people of the Ashanti region have accorded me and my team since our arrival here yesterday. Madam Chairman, as earlier indicated in my introductory remark, Ghana has endured a checkered political history, blazing the trail as the first country south of Sahara to gain independence from colonial rule. Our first president, Dr. Likie, had a great vision of building a united and robust Ghana capable of managing and leverage on its own human and material resources to create wealth and secure decent living for its citizens. Unfortunately, this vision was truncated through military overthrow of the Nkrumah government, the subsequent overthrow of the Second and the Third Republics by the military, and the challenges encountered with the parliamentary and presidential system of government, practiced under the 3 defunct republics, taught Ghanaians a bitter lessons. As to why the First, Second, and Third Republic failed, and whether lessons were learned from the experiences of those eras are part of the internal political debate of this country. What is, however, not open to debate is the fact that the Fourth Republic is the product of the experiences of the First, Second, and Third Republics, rendered through the vision of the then PNDC regime to establish what actors of the era referred to as true democracy, a hybrid constitutional system of government that combines features of the traditional Westminster parliamentary and the American presidential systems of government. The proposed governance arrangement in the lead-up to the Fourth Republic was captured as part of the draft constitution drawn up by the Consultative Assembly. The voting population of the country was then given the opportunity to accept or reject the draft constitution in a referendum. Ghanaians massively voted and approved the proposals on 28 April 1992 to take effect on the 7th January 1993. Ladies and gentlemen, it is heartwarming to note that our fourth attempt to establish a democratic dispensation to free up and unleash the unlimited potentials of Ghana's natural and human resources for development under the Fourth Republic has been viewed as largely successful and received wide applause. Our democracy has now traveled continuously for 30 years and is still marching on. Today, Ghana is touted as a peaceful, stable, and secure country. Many have already christened Ghana as a model democracy in Africa, thanks to the understanding, tolerance, and collaborative actions of Ghanaians and our partners in development. Nana Chairman, democracy is not only about representation, it is also about inclusiveness and social equity. These cardinal democratic principles must combine in equal measures at all times to enable all segments of the population feel part of the society and contribute their quota to national development. Talking about representation, Parliament has grown from a membership of 200 in 1993 to the current 275 member house. In general terms, popular representation has improved marginally. However, women representation as a percentage of the membership of the House has been sluggish, inconsistent, and discouraging. From a low of 8% in the first Parliament of the Fourth Republic to a disappointing 14.5% in the 8th Parliament, Ghana remains among the lowest in Africa. With 40 women MPs in the House of 275, our women representation is a far cry compared to emerging democracies in the world. The representation of people living with disabilities, PWDs, is even worse. With the highest of 5.5% recorded in the 6th Parliament, so is the situation of representation of the youth in Parliament. With these statistics, one can confidently say, although the response to the call for participatory governance is encouraging, the response to call for inclusive governance remains poor. Given this trend, ladies and gentlemen, it is evident that it will take generations to record an appreciable increase in the representation of women, the youth, and PWDs in Parliament if we do not take deliberate actions to reverse the situation. It is in the light of this that Parliament, under my stewardship, will collaborate with stakeholders to pass the Affirmative Action Bill, which currently has received the second readings from the House. The bill, when passed, will ensure that electorally disadvantaged segments of the population, such as women, PWDs, that's people with disabilities, and youth, are each allocated a defined proportion of the 275 parliamentary seats, for which only candidates within said groups of the population can contest. The passing of Affirmative Action Bill will no doubt be a feather in the cap of Ghana democracy and a testament of our commitment of promoting inclusive, equitable society, no matter the price we will have to pay. Nana Chairman, when it comes to the aspect of lawmaking, our Parliament has achieved many successes. Researchers have identified lawmaking as the brightest spot of our Parliament. Significantly, Parliament has successfully overcome the limitation imposed by the strict interpretation of Article 108 of the Constitution on the admissibility of private members' bill. And members of Parliament, through your input and proposals, as stakeholders, can now introduce private members' bill on every area of national affairs. Distinguished participants, it is equally historic to note that the initial populous majoritarian parliament has now transitioned into a hung parliament of equal representation, presided over by a non-member speaker whose party is not in government. In addition, the multi-party parliament of 5 active parties have now become a duopoly of 2 major parties, contributing to improving oversight functions of Parliament. Nana Chairman, these emerging unique features of our Parliament truly demonstrate that our democracy is not only growing in terms of age, but also in terms of maturity with which we analyze issues, raise them in contest, and decide on the appropriate course of action. I cannot make any serious statement here without saying anything on the impending elections in December 2024. As we approach the December 7th elections, let us remember that our diversity is our strength, and as such, we need to engage in healthy debate, respect each other's opinion, and promote peace and unity. Let us respect the electoral process and trust the institutions that safeguard our democracy. Let us avoid misinformation and hate speech, and instead promote tolerance and peaceful coexistence. Let us reject divisiveness in politics and indeed elect leaders who will foster peace, justice, and equality. Let us maintain our reputation as a beacon of democracy and peace in Africa. Just a few weeks ago, I participated in the Ghana Praise Prayer session here in Kumasi. The spiritually powered park event took place at the Calvary Charismatic Church in Aija. We joined hands to pray for a free, fair, credible, and peaceful elections. And come December 7th, I believe that the God that we all serve will see us through the elections smoothly and peacefully. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the path is what guided our thoughts when we were brainstorming on the theme for the 30th anniversary celebration of parliamentary democracy in Ghana. After a careful consideration, we concluded on the main theme, 30 years of parliamentary democracy under the Fourth Republic, the journey thus far. Central to the theme is the institution of Parliament, which is the symbol and centerpiece of all democracies. Accordingly, the fundamental objective behind the celebration is to underscore and reiterate the need for us as a nation to safeguard our democracy, and it is also to ensure that as many Ghanaians as possible appreciate the current political dispensation, the workings of Parliament, and its centrality to the sustenance of democracy. The celebration of 30 years of parliamentary democracy in Ghana is therefore a passionate call on all Ghanaians to rise to their civic responsibilities of protecting and defending the Constitution of Ghana as captured in the express terms of Article 3 of the 1992 Constitution. As Parliament, we will continue to pursue our constitutional mandate through our representational, deliberative, and legislative, and most importantly, oversight functions. I must recognize, however, that it will be very difficult to successfully perform these functions as Parliament without a strong partnership with the public and all stakeholders in our effort at consolidating our democracy. That is where you come in as electorates, as civil society groups, as media, as traditional authorities, and many more. We need to build this partnership and dialogue on how best to offer economic and social security to the citizens of this nation, and what choice of political architecture will enable us to achieve this objective. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot conclude my address without acknowledging our great leaders as well as various individuals and groups who sacrificed in diverse ways to build the foundation of the democracy that we are celebrating today. As Abraham Lincoln once said, a nation that does not honor its heroes will not long endure. I therefore salute our political, traditional, business, academic, religious, military, and civil society leaders whose contribution resonates strongly in our current political dispensation that has become the toast of the international community. I also salute the electorates that voted massively as high as 94.6% in the 1992 referendum to approve the Constitution of Ghana. I am equally grateful to all speakers of Parliament before me for the various roles they played in strengthening the pillars of our democracy. I am referring to Right Honorable Daniel Francis Annan, the pioneering Speaker of the First and the Second Parliament, Right Honorable Peter Alajete for the Third Parliament, Right Honorable Ebenezer Bedina Sichi Hughes for the Fourth Parliament, Right Honorable Justice Joyce Adley Manfo Addo for the Fifth Parliament, Right Honorable Edward Kobido Ajaho for the 6th Parliament, Right Honourable Professor Aaron Mike Okwe, who I took over from on the 7th January for the 7th Parliament. Before I take my seat, I would like to ask all to stand up and observe a minute silence for the foreign heroes, civilians and uniformed men alike who toiled, labored, and laid their lives for the sustenance of this democracy that we are all enjoying. Rest with their Maker in peace. Amen.
Brothers, this far, we are indeed grateful. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for your opening remarks and the keynote address given by the Second Deputy Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the difficulty in executing your job came to light when you used the word impartial speaker. Many people laughed. But that is the difficulty of your work. But I must say thank you for navigating the way in bringing us this far. Thank you for bringing your experience to bear. Thank you for mastering the balancing act. Indeed, you have done so well, and we are so grateful to you. Next on the program is Q&A. Going to be an open forum. Parliament can never claim to be custodian of all knowledge. Parliament do not know it all. It is through the electorate that Parliament can fashion out laws that will inure to the benefit of our country. What we hear from you will enable us will help us to do that which is right for the forward march of our nation. And so it's going to be an open forum where people will be allowed to ask questions. We have one microphone in front and then one at the back. We are going to take questions in fives, and the Speaker and the leadership of Parliament will try to do justice to the questions that may be asked. And so I will ask the gentleman to coordinate the questions. But before we do that, I have in my hand here this bookmark. I think a lot of you do have. You can scan what is at the back on your phone. And then whatever you want to put into writing and helping, that will be very much appreciated. So question time, open forum.
Hello. A very good afternoon to you all, sir. I started on observing the protocols. Mr. Speaker, I learned you were one of the drafters of our Disability Act 015 since 2006, and it's 18 years now. I see no reason why this Parliament is going out without passing our act, because currently new buildings are being sprung up without accommodating persons with disability. Even this auditorium, we find it difficult to get in here. So we see that issues bothering persons with disabilities have become afterthoughts. And always, we count us in a group of the marginalized people. We need to be very stated in any public forum that we are in existence. So persons with disabilities have to come first in our day-to-day activities. Thank you so much.
My name is representing YWCA Ashanti Region. My first question goes to Parliament. Poor representation of women in Parliament is a worry to all of us. Now my question is, has there been any consideration to ensure that women are well represented without any intimidation from well-to-do men and parliamentarians? Number two, can there be a case where Parliament could sponsor women who would want to serve at Parliament? These are my two questions.
Pamocho, I hadn't been because of the phone to say a bear of me a way. Now, Mr. We are about making our question, your question and your back. Now, you are nothing for us. You know, I didn't have
my name is GhPage, and my question is the right one about the speaker. When we are talking about the constitutional amendments, and what is in the public belief is ex-gracious about APs. And recently there was a report on allowance for the APs. So I want to know how it can be substantiated from the ex-gracious.
Original chairman of that mine is not a question. It's an appeal to my brother and friend, there's a bill, a new sanitary bill, currently at cabinet level. And I believe that bill went past for assistance to overcome some of those challenges my brother and Richard earlier. And I just want to appeal to take a personal interest in the bill so that when it comes to Parliament, you speak up. Otherwise, when Parliament is dissolved, I think it will become another issue in the next Parliament. So it's a personal appeal to you, Your Honor.
Ready to answer. My question is that in case you are faced with a bill that in discussing that bill and passing that bill into law, it might separate the Parliament or separate candidates. How do you go about it? So my question is that in case you have a bill that in discussing the bill in Parliament and that bill is going to be passed into law. And you know that when it's being passed into law, it will separate Ghanaians and separate Parliament. How do you handle that bill?
But your last 5 minutes, Amy, now, Mr. Speaker, depending for any other.
I'm called Francis Watson. My question is more focused on salary limitation. We've put a proposal before the House to approve and acknowledge salary interpreters. So, Honorable Speaker, I hope you get justice to that.
Mr. Speaker.
I am just going to make an attempt. The attempt is not to answer your questions. The attempt is to try and share information with you.
Unfortunately, the mic was not too audible to me, but I managed to get a few points. And the assistant of my director for public engagement, I have 5 main questions to respond to. The first, and I think 2 persons spoke on that issue, the issue of people with disability. The first one dealing with the Act itself, which, according to the questioner, I took part in drafting in 2005. That is true. I was in Parliament then, and we went through it together with Ghanaians. Usually when we are processing a bill, we invite all stakeholders to come to discuss the bill with us. We actually learn from the stakeholders, not just because they on daily basis experience it, but it affects them directly more than the others. And so we did that. We passed the bill. For some years now, the state and some stakeholders have not been able to abide by and implement some of the provisions of the bill, including what we just referred to, the difficulty in accessing public buildings. When I became the speaker, I immediately did a post-act scrutiny and did a research in a number of the legislations we passed some years ago, and this was one of them. And I got a petition from the association on what we just referred to. But this is a public bill. It is not a private member bill, which meant that the government will have to work on it and then submit it to Parliament for us to refine with you to make sure that we got it right. And so it's being done by the government, and I'm happy the second person mentioned about it being at the cabinet level. When it comes to Parliament, we'll definitely invite the association again to come around for us to go through it together and to make sure that this time around we get it right. Personally, I grew up with disabled. My family had a lot of blind people because of the prevalence of the fly in my area. I also had a lot of people who were involved in accidents, and in those days, most deliveries were done by TBAs, and we had a lot of challenges. So I personally grew up with disabled persons, and I feel like they feel, because moving around with them, we had a lot of challenges. So I'm very concerned about the society, and I've been personally supporting them in all things. So I agree with you, it's high time we look at it. That is why we need to strengthen Parliament, to have a research department that keep on feeding us with this. In the absence of that, I have linked Parliament now with the civil society, the research the organization, the think tanks, and your association is included. And we established a citizens bureau, which on a daily basis you can get in touch and discuss all these things with. Now look at the other question on women participation, not just in Parliament, but in decision-making process and in leadership. I am really very saddened about the progress so far in Ghana. We are far, far, far behind many African countries. We are given a deadline all countries to reach above 30% by the year 2020. A lot of African countries, I know about almost 15 that have gone beyond the 30%. But as we just mentioned, ours is still 14.5%, which is very bad. But Parliament has no vote in this matter. We can't create seats for women until the country itself decides that we move away from the one constituency, one MP, and one vote, one MP syndrome. If we move away from that and create special seats, like was done by our first president, where he created 10 special seats for women, and that was left to only women. But that would involve a constitutional amendment, and that is why we kept on referring to the agency in bringing for your consideration the 1992 Constitution. We need to reform it to capture some of these things. But as at now, we have a bill before us in Parliament. The bill came under a certificate of urgency. They wanted us to pass it within a few days. But being the representatives of the people, we realized that there was a need for us to get back to you to make sure that your interest is what is captured in the bill. And so I made a few statements on the floor. It was referred to the committee. The committee came back and said, no, we need to get back to the stakeholders so that we can improve the draft that government brought. And truly, the committee is chaired by the Deputy Majority Leader, who is here with us, your own Honorable Patricia Appiaje, and they saw that the bill fell short of expectation. And so they've submitted so many amendments to the bill. And we have to bring in the Attorney General again to recapture these amendments so that Parliament will pass it before we proceed on recess. In fact, almost on every meeting, I stress the agency involved in passing this bill. And I hope that by the time we do that, there will be some of the solutions that we'll be able to capture in this new bill to empower our women. Because without the women, we can't progress. They are in the majority, and we all know that they are better managers than us. They don't only manage the house, they manage the children, and they also manage the men. And research has shown that women are better managers because they have a higher emotional intelligence than men. That is a fact, and I support that. So we are working on this seriously, and I believe at the end of the day, you'll be a bit impressed with it, but we can finish it well after the constitutional review is completed. The issue of ex gratia is a very thorny issue. The founders, or I should say, founding fathers of the 1992 Constitution envisaged a situation where they wanted some particular category of public servants, including political office holders. The ex gratia is not for members of Parliament, and it's not even ex gratia, it's gratuity. There's a difference between ex gratia and gratuity. And it's not for members of Parliament alone. It cuts through a category of public servants and political office holders, including Auditor General, including the chairpersons of all the constitutional commissions, including ministers of state, the presidency, judiciary, and all others. It's not just members of Parliament. But the concept was to assure them, because of the importance of the position they occupy and the decisions they take on your behalf, the concept was to assure them, don't think about yourself. Think about the people you represent. Because after your office, we will take care of you. So it was to assist us to contain corruption. And I'm happy that a number of industrial chiefs from this region were members of the Consultative Assembly. Unfortunately, in practice, it has not served its purpose. It has not been able to assist us to curb or contain corruption. And so when I made an attempt to contest as a presidential candidate, I did announce that if elected as president, I was going to ensure that that article is amended from the Constitution. I got a reaction, and the reaction was from my colleagues in Parliament to say that we don't support the candidature of Honorable Bagbin. And when I got in touch with them in privacy, some disclosed that you have already announced that you are going to abolish ex gratia. So why should we vote for you? You have been enjoying it for all these years. Now it's our turn. You say we should enjoy it. But I can assure you that what a candidate spends to be elected is more than what you call ex gratia. And so you ask yourself, how come that people are struggling to go into Parliament when we say it doesn't benefit the people? The reality is that, look at the former members of Parliament. How many of them are rich? Don't look at the trappings of the office. I am the only lucky person to be there for up to 32 years. Many have fallen after just 4 years. And when you fall from there, it's very difficult to survive. Because you are seen as a politician. Nobody will employ you. When you are doing your business, only your party members will come to you. And when your party members come to you, they are looking for it for free. They don't want to pay. And so it has really wreaked havoc on families of members of Parliament. So I agree totally with anybody who comes to say that we should do away with Article 71 of the Constitution. It hasn't served its purpose, and there's no use maintaining it. We have to look at the National Emoluments Commission for everybody, because our Constitution talks about us creating a free and just society, and that is what we should focus on. So we should not give some special conditions to any office holder, except for the purpose of properly serving the people. So I agree with you. The last question talk about handling bills which seek to create division. I've never come across a bill that seeks to create division. Division in the society, division in Parliament, or what, I don't know. But what I know is that party politics is an attempt at rather harmonizing our differences. Party politics is an attempt to try to let us accept the differences that God has created. Party politics is an attempt to let us tolerate and be able to accommodate the views of each other so that we can get a peaceful and harmonious society. Party politics is an attempt at responding to the interests of each and every member of the society. That is what the law seeks to achieve. And so I don't think any law will come with the intention of creating division that are negative. The division may be positive, like granting the opportunity for people to form parties. and the parties are to be based on ideologies. An ideology is a philosophy of the way you want life to be organized as a people. What we have in Ghana is still an attempt at achieving that. And so even though we talk about center-right and center-left, when you see the practice, it's just a cabal of leaders that run the show. And so now you see that the two parties are becoming the same. Both NDC and NPP are all meeting at the center. But depending on who is leading and who are surrounding him, they try to move the party in another direction, particularly when they are in government. And you have all experienced it. We are still experiencing it today. So those are things that are allowed. But Parliament, to be sure, and I want all of you to be sure about this, we just then proceed to pass a bill without listening and accepting your views. That is not what we do on the floor. Many a times we advertise, we invite you, many of you don't show up. And that is why we are moving from Accra to reach out to you and let you know. And then you become vigilant. Anytime we have these issues and you are invited, come to Parliament, sit with us, let us hear your views, and we'll factor those views in the law or policies that we are approving on the floor of Parliament. This is the information I can share with you. I might not have satisfied you, but that is the best I can do. I think I've finished with all the 5 questions.
Mr. Speaker, there was a couple of questions. There was a coming to know about the Israel of your Tosun, the Bebusa also.
Namiado, the previous group, we more afraid until it was. There's another stress at Mekachikasa. If you say you are sentiment, and you know, can hear this is Sunday, you people because I can't want to say, I want to just say. Nana, on my motto about a month and penny for from parliamentary, so on pop a penny and not parliament, you know what is the number of my input only into. And one man may be a soup here. Nelson Pemberton, I said, you only said, Omudu on man, young mamma, I poor bunny, I said, you almost said, political party on when, and one step that they are on diary. To the extent that you prefer and maybe grab a woman and come going in the control. They are children that go parliament. And more money control of second mamma here. And your best friend, you are the Parliament of Ghana, you need MPP Parliament, you need NDC Parliament. Say, and near my war money come for the best friend, after moving up a home, Joe, no may yet, and she said, I walk on my Ghana, no money.
Joshua Kwame Fuga. Please, my name is Joshua Kwame Fuga. I believe that we all acknowledge the importance of this forum, which is the Fourth Republic, protection of the Fourth Republic. Mr. Speaker, prior to your election as the Speaker of Parliament, there were some incidents that occasioned the process, especially with regards to the invasion of military personnel into the chambers of Parliament. I would want to know if, after that incident that led to your election as the Speaker of Parliament, if anybody has been held responsible, because some of us believe that that incident was a threat to our Fourth Republic. So I would humbly want to find out if, after that incident, anybody has been held responsible. Thank you very much.
Chairman, Right Honourable Speaker, permit me to stand on all existing protocols as I ask my question. What is the democratic system of Ghana putting in place in order to control the high unemployment rate, lack of diversification in the economy, and insufficient infrastructure development to create an enabling environment for its people. And if there is any assurance we will get, if not eliminate, at least reduce the substantial pressure on public finances, such as loans and debt sustainability. Thank you.
Against youth participating in parliament. But we also find ourselves in a community where when we, the youth, decide to speak up on our problems, we are considered disrespectful and sometimes ungrateful. My question is that what is the guarantee that when we bring our views to the parliament, we will be heard and not neglected? And what are the
I'm a student of Ghanaian University. I'm not old enough to have seen the start of the fourth Republican Parliament, but I have grown with the safety of it due to the things the leadership of Ghana have done, and I'd like to say thank you. And my question is, at the start of this current Parliament, we did see some events transpire, and I say this in all due respect. And we did see a certain member of Parliament take ballot papers and proceed to chew them. This, I believe, is a threat to our democracy. How is Parliament ensuring that nothing like this happens again? Yeah, that's my question. Thank you.
Please, I would like to ask that if there is any law or if there is, how can it be strengthened to prevent the training of excess nurses and medical professions in Ghana? For instance, we have more than 4 nurses staying home all the 4 years staying home all the time. We've been training like excess of what the states can absorb. We see it to be a national security threat. For instance, if someone has been trained to save life and the person is not absorbed, or if there's any rule that can export the nurse and midwife from the state, for the state to also get something from those we have spent money on. Thank you.
Respectfully, I'm very grateful. I am lawyer Mrs. Lizzie the regional director of the Guiding Officer at yesterday, I reviewed a video on our platform where a lady a parliamentarian who is a blind lady from one of the African countries, opposed to the rate at which Parliament go on recess. I don't have no idea who has said it, I have it right now. Her opposition to the motion for the recess was so commendable and something to listen to. My question just asked is, in the Ghanaian Parliament, how often do you go on recess? And the question is, how long do you stay for recess? I'm so much elated about the position of the lawyer, to the extent that parliamentarians as lawyers are supposed to think in the spur of the moment. So that most of the deliberations does not need to go on to recess for them I listened to the Alban yesterday. My humble question to Mr. Speaker to let me know in the Parliament of Ghana how often do you go on recess, on what basis, and how long has the recess? Thank you very much.
I want to, actually, I wish I was a student so that my colleagues, after I respond to the questions, will clap for me. Unfortunately, I am not a student, and so I don't get your applause after I answer the questions. We have put in place a structure in the parliamentary community to receive the youth as members of parliament and to take their inputs in the consideration of everything we do in parliament. And so Ghana's parliament has established a youth caucus, and we are a member of the international community of youth parliaments. In fact, our parliament sponsored a number of youth